Hello and welcome back to Open, everyone. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche. You know, we're always inviting you to get social with us. That's right, online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, Instagram, FB, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. Our first guest is the first Puerto Rican and Latina to ever hold a citywide office as Speaker of the New York City Council, and that was from 2014 to 2017. And while simultaneously, we'll say, holding her seat as council member for the 8th District since 2006. That's a lot of years. And during her time in the City Council, she was able to fight for comprehensive immigration reform and criminal justice reform and advocate championing the housing crisis. And now, well, she plans to run for New York's 15th Congressional District representing the Bronx. And she's here now to tell us more about her candidacy and the 2020 census. Please welcome Melissa Mark-Viverito. Or should I say the Honorable Melissa Mark-Viverito.
Buenos dias, Rhina. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Buenos dias. Thank you for making the time to be here. And congratulations on your run, right?
Yes.
It's interesting because you've been in office for so long. I can't imagine what that must have felt like this time that you've taken a break. We'll say you've been on hiatus. And so what made you decide to run for Congress?
Well, basically, I mean, anybody that is awake and knows the crisis that we're living in our country right now, where we have an administration that is so hostile to communities of color, to low-income communities, and that is the Trump administration, that we also are in a crisis of our democracy, where he is becoming an autocrat and assuming these positions that is trying to amass power, and he uses that power to threaten communities that don't agree with him. So for instance, in New York City, where we are a welcoming city of our immigrant communities and we're considered a sanctuary city, now we just heard a ruling from the federal administration saying that they can take monies away from cities that are welcoming of immigrants if they don't toe the line of the Trump administration. So he's using that power to be to go against communities. And so the 15th Congressional District is an important one. And I thought that with all the experience I have, our congressman has served here for 30 years,
yes,
and we thank him for his service. Yes. Now that is an open seat, that it really was important to have someone there who has that trajectory of fighting for our communities, for being a strong voice, to fighting back, to providing great constituent services to the constituents of the Bronx. And so that is why I decided to jump into this race. And obviously we know it's a contentious one.
Right, it is. There's a lot of people running for it, right? And so the issue that I brought you on to discuss is the issue of the census, right? And of course, running for a congressional district. I thought it would be great if you could enlighten our viewers on the importance of it, right? We're speaking about immigration, and I know there are lots of undocumented individuals, but I think it's important for people to understand that the census is really about keeping count of the people that reside within a certain district and the impact that it has on the funding that is offered or granted to certain districts. So can you just break that down for us a little more?
Yeah, so actually in 2000, back 20 years ago, I did lead one of the local census offices here in the city of New York. The census is basically, it counts everyone, regardless of your status. It is a way of counting to figure out how many people live in that particular state, in the Bronx, in the city. You break it down by neighborhoods. So on April 1st, which is considered the National Census Awareness Day, there's going to be a lot of ads, and you're going to hear a lot about information. To get counted is critically important, not to be afraid to do so, because that is the way that money is allocated. When we talk about money for our schools, when we talk about money to make our communities safer, when we talk about money towards public housing, we need to know how many people live there, because then decisions are being made based on the percentage or based on the number of individuals. That's why getting counted is so important. So the first step in that process, and people will receive it, is you're gonna get a census form in the mail. And it's important to fill it out. If you don't want somebody coming to knock on your door and harass you at your door, if you fill out that form from the onset and send it in, then nobody's going to bother you after that. The issue of hiring people on the ground to go knocking on doors is to basically follow up with those people who do not fill out the census form that has been sent in the mail. So that will be the first contact that people will have, is the form in the mail, and then subsequent to that would be any sort of additional follow-up with knocking on doors. It also is a good job opportunity. People are being hired locally. Jobs are paying $25 to $28 an hour. But again, the issue of not only money that's coming to our communities, but also how districts are being drawn politically.
Right, because they draw the districts according to the
Yes.
amount of people residing in certain areas, and that's how they
Exactly.
determine, right? Now, the other thing I wanted to bring to into light is that I believe that this year they're even offering the opportunity to be counted via being online. There's this new system in development. I was reading about it, and so I don't know how that's even,
That's going to be interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I know we have our concerns we see, but you will get something in the mail, and there will be, obviously, as you're saying, an ability to maybe do that online as well. I always think paper, to me, is always the shortest way to get something done.
Right, because it's there in material form.
right.
Yeah, I get it. And so just in discussing this, and obviously you've already broken it down with regards to districts and the line that's being drawn, but the reason I keep harping on it is because I know we're living in a state right now where people are in fear of even being recognized, and so how do we break that stigma, or how do we enroll these people to understand that by being counted, it's actually more helpful to the situation?
Right. I mean, and I think that obviously the administration did attempt, and they did take some steps that caused alarm in our community. But there is there is an issue of, like you're saying, it's just about allocation of resources. So we want to get funding to our schools, and our children getting access to pre-K programs, or getting access to food pantry, or any type of benefits. I mean, public housing is something that we have a lot of in this congressional district. We need that accurate count. And I understand that there is a fear and a hesitation for people to get involved, but that's why it's important that the mayor and the city also take the time to go onto local networks like this, community networks, community ethnic media, right? We have such diversity in the city of New York, and people get their media, their information in different ways, whether it's the local community paper or whether it's their ethnic media TV station. So we have to get that information out of the most accurate information to try to neutralize any fear and concern that people may have about participating in something that is so critically important for the health of our communities. Healthcare funding also, in terms of our public hospitals, allocated based on use and based on census data. So the census data is critical for a healthy, functioning democracy, and that's what we need people to participate.
I love how you closed it with a healthy, functioning democracy.
Well, I don't have that right now, but we got to fight for it.
Right, exactly. And so before we go, I understand you have an event happening on Saturday at the Coworkers?
Oh, so I do have, those of us that are running for office in any category, any level of government, we need to get on the ballot. And so we are in the process of gathering signatures. It's a petitioning drive. So we encourage people to come out and participate. There are many people that know me and are familiar with my work. And if you want to support me, then we would ask people to stand up and help out. So it's at the co-working space, as you said, on both Saturday and Sunday. So thank you.
And thank you for making the time to be here with us,
Yes.
and thank you for your service to our community.
Always.
Thank you. All right, you guys, once again, for more on Melissa Mark-Viverito's candidacy for New York's Congressional 15th District, you can visit mmvforthebronx.com and follow her at mmvviverito. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, for the census, you're going to be receiving that in the mail. But if you want to learn more, just go online and read about it. It's very important that we all be counted. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll get a sneak peek of an immigration short film. Don't go anywhere.